Pete Hegseth, President-elect Trump's pick for Secretary of Defense. He was in the hot seat yesterday, and he took shots from the Democrats all day long. But it looks like he's going to get through because there's more Republicans than Democrats. It looks like all the Democrats are going to vote no, and all the Republicans are going to vote yes. And so, did the senators do their job? Let's bring in Roshini Rajkumar, attorney, political strategist, and host of the Crisis Files. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Kevin. In all my years of watching confirmation hearings, I never thought we'd get to the day where a senator was asking a candidate about wife two versus wife three and babies in there and all that. I mean, it was really dramatic yesterday.
Yeah. Well, can you imagine if people in Washington were not qualified based on having affairs? How few people would be working in Washington, D.C.?
We'd have a completely different Congress and administration for sure.
Right. Some of the Republicans were, which they were saying, how many times have senators shown up for a vote after drinking? And I was like, I don't know how many times. let's go. Let's name names. Let's go to detail. Let's find out what's going on. It was like it was going to be a reality TV show or something like that. I don't think there's any bad questions. I think it's fine. Ask those questions. You got to find out if the guy who's going to run the military has a drinking problem or has ethical problems. But at the end of the day, what really bugs me is when the vote goes down, it's going to be everybody who's a Democrat's going to say no. Everyone who's a Republican is going to say yes. No, there's not one Democrat thinks this guy's qualified based on his experience, and not one Republican thinks he's not qualified based on his personal problems. And for me, that's a problem because then the American people just walk away and say, look, it's just a game.
Right. And this is a time that probably the Republicans are very happy that, remember, the Constitution originally said with the advice and consent of the Senate, but a 2/3 vote of the Senate had to pass these people through. So that could almost never happen in our modern era, or at least the last 20 years. So it's really political theater. It's unfortunate. I think it's fine if any senator asks what they want. But what I don't like, as I'm just thinking about what they teach us in trial practice in law school, there's direct examination and there's cross-examination, and how it seemed was the Republican senators were doing the direct, asking, kind of open-ended questions and responses so that Pete had could give an open-ended response, whereas the Democrats seem to be doing those leading questions where they just wanted a yes or no. That's what we do in cross-examination, and that's really unfair. I mean, it really is that gotcha feel to it. Now, I would say there were some Republican senators or some Democratic senators, not all of them, but some that were really trying to elicit the truth, get through the facts, get through the different stories that are out there, narratives that are out there. Pete Hegseth, for the most part, did a good job of just standing his ground. He is not the easiest nominee to pass through. I mean, I don't think anyone's going to argue with that, but it is also a time that we can watch each of these senators and their own constituencies can judge them as to how professional and executive mindset they were in how they conducted their own part of the proceedings.
Yeah, if I were advising Pete yesterday, I would have given him another phrase we hear in court a lot: asked and answered, because time and time again they're going back down the same road. Just a different senator looking for a different soundbite in their hometown, with the same question that somebody had already asked, and he had already given whatever answer he was going to give. And I don't know. Maybe they think the candidates will get frustrated and say something that ultimately disqualifies them. But I think all of these nominees are now well trained. I'm sure they go in and somebody just drills and shouts all these things at them for hours and hours of practice, and then they come back with some sort of answer that evades, avoids, or answers it the way they're going to answer it. We see it time and time again, whether it's Supreme Court or appointments like this. Do you think that we've lost touch of the job that the senators have here, or is this process actually, although ugly, doing the job of finding out if these people are qualified?
Well, I do think, we need to have this. I think the rules of engagement have gotten very soft and unprofessional. One of the issues that I had a problem with as a former journalist myself is when a senator asks a question and they're using some report of the day. I don't care which news source it was or social media post. If you use something from another source that you did not find out yourself or learn yourself directly from a party to a situation, you can't treat it as fact. You have to say, as the New Yorker reported, Mr. Hegseth, you had this child with this person, or this person accused you of this sexual misconduct. You don't just start the question as if, oh, as if we heard the senator from Hawaii. So this kind of sexual assault that you did, blah, 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 treating it as fact. And so therefore, Pete Hegseth has really no other choice but to respond in the way he did, because if he says yes or no to some of those questions, he's accepting as fact what was out there in a previously reported story. So it's really unprofessional and I would say negligent by some of these senators when they treat something as fact and don't give attribution to who originally reported that set of circumstances. If you kind of catch my drift on this, Kevin,
No, absolutely.
As a former journalist yourself.
Absolutely. No. And what I want to watch, we had Alyssa Slotkin on, the new senator from Michigan, and she's going to vote no on Pete Hegseth. And I said, well, are you going to vote no on everybody? And she's like, well, no, I've met with some of the nominees beforehand, and while I may disagree with them, I'll probably vote for some of them. And so we got Pam Bondi, Marco Rubio today, John Ratcliffe for the CIA. It's one thing to go through this process, but if you're just absolutely going to vote yes or absolutely going to vote no, I feel like we're not really doing our jobs.
That's a great point. Each of these senators needs to use their own brains, their own minds, their own conversations. Senator Joni Ernst was a really great example yesterday of decorum, of professionalism, of toughness. She's former military. She's a sexual assault survivor herself. She had those pre-meetings before the holidays with Hegseth herself, gleaned some information, formulated her questions specifically based on those conversations and not just what was out in the popular mainstream media. And look, you can blend all of those things together, but she was, in my mind, a gold standard in how you conduct a conversation. Look,
right.
She's from the same party as the president, so she's also going to be scrutinized. So she was asking some tough questions, and then she made news yesterday by saying she would vote yes for him. But
right.
Here's someone who's a sexual assault survivor herself.
Right.
So she's got some credibility in whatever she does.
Roshini Rajkumar, attorney, political strategist, and host of the Crisis Files podcast. Thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Kevin.